Hey guys, welcome back to the Tipsy Ghost. We're your tipsy hosts, Sarah, and Lindsey.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Hey.
I looked at you because you said you had something to tell us.
I did too.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh.
I've got two things, actually. Okay. No, I've got two things, and I just don't know which one to start with. I'm going to start with this story first. So we all know I'm afraid of bats.
Yes. That's why I sent you the text about the guy who died from the bat injury.
So Lindsey sent me a story, and it turns out that this is true,
Yes.
and it's horrifying.
I don't send fake news.
Well, it was a screenshot of something random,
Sorry.
so I wasn't sure, but I looked it up, and it is true. And basically, for our listeners, this just validates my fear. And I feel like you guys need to understand better about why I'm terrified, because this can actually happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
But an 80-year-old man went to sleep, woke up with a bat on his neck.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, he did refuse the rabies treatment.
Yes, he did.
Which is unfortunate, because that bat did have rabies.
And he did.
And he did die
Yes.
of rabies.
For the first time since the 70s.
They did say, yeah, it's been a long time since something like that has happened. I'm just saying. Maybe it's more prevalent than we think. It's probably, I don't know, he's 80. He probably was thinking like,
How did the bat get in his house?
what are the odds? The odds are not in your favor, friend.
No.
Maybe he thought it
unfortunately.
was like a new age spot, like a new mole.
He woke up with the bat on
God.
him.
Well,
That's a big mole.
it escalated
Ugh,
quickly.
God, that gives me the heebie-jeebies.
You're welcome for that story.
Winston reminded me when we were at Belvoir a while back that bats have razor sharp teeth. Oh my God, that sentence was hard.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I've never really looked at
Yeah,
that.
because I was panicked that I had rabies, and she said,
Of course you were.
she goes, you wouldn't even feel it if they bit you because their teeth are razor sharp. And I'm like, well, I would bleed. And she was like, maybe not. And I'm like, I hate you because you're
now
feeding into my fear.
Now she's going to think she's bitten when she's not really
Listen,
bitten.
I already did think that, and I'm waiting. Rabies can stay dormant in your system, so I'm pretty sure it's in my system.
You've looked it up.
Hell yes, I did. I absolutely did.
You're right, though, but I'm
It can.
curious if, so sometimes we share drinks, so have you just passed it on to us?
Or if we pass
Well,
it on to you.
If I die, you die. All of you.
We're all going
I'll
down
die
together.
with rabies. That's why we need to have. That's why we need to have a run for rabies.
Yes,
Like in the
I hear
office.
that. You need to raise money for that.
Okay, the second thing I wanted to tell
Yes.
you is: have you guys watched Midnight Mass yet?
I wanted to talk about this.
I'm on episode 5.
Yay!
Okay, I'm only on episode 3. We just started it last
I
night.
thought of you immediately, and I can't wait
Of
to
me?
get your
'Cause of
reaction.
religion?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought of her because of the Stephen King references.
Oh, I didn't even catch those, but I'm not like a huge Stephen King fan. I mean, I like his stuff, but like, obviously I don't read his books.
So let's circle back.
Okay.
Yes, we just started watching it last night. It's been on our queue to watch, but now that I'm working 4 nights a week and I'm gone the other 5th night, it's hard to find
Yeah,
something to
I
watch.
started watching it last night and I'm on episode 5.
That's when
I
it starts getting good.
fell
It's
asleep
like 5.
during the second episode because I was just so dead.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I think the like episodes 1 through 4 are pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But 5 is, oh my gosh, next level. So I can't wait to hear.
I'll keep you updated.
Yeah, because I mean, I never read the Bible. I don't know. That's shocking. I know.
Yeah, let's just circle back.
Okay.
Yeah. We're going to have to talk about it when everybody's done. I'm just going to say I think I might be traumatized from the end of this. It took a sharp turn.
Well, it's by
Intense.
the same people who did The Haunting of Hill House,
I know,
which
which
I love.
I actually didn't even know that this was going to come out. And then
Mhm.
all of a sudden I came across a TikTok or something that
I've
was
been
like,
watching it. I'm so excited.
okay, yeah, really good. Okay, well, we'll have to come back to
Yes.
it when we're all finished. Those were the two things I wanted to ask
That's
you
one
about.
of the things I wanted to talk to you about. Was if
Well-
you guys had heard of it. So
Turns
Good
out I
job.
have.
you have, both of you.
I have watched it all.
And I am proud of Poinson for watching it.
Oh, thank you. It's funny because I watched it because somebody else told me to watch it.
That feels rude.
Whoa. Who was it? Why do you listen to them and not us?
It was my director.
No, why do you listen to him and not us?
Well, he did a really good job of pepping it up and be like, you have to watch this.
Do we do a bad job of pepping up things? And we say you have to watch this and you say don't tell me what to do.
That's exactly right.
But just by definition, he can tell me what to do.
Yes. When
Not
it
at
comes to your job.
Not when it comes to TV recommendations.
I doubt he said, listen, you have to watch the show and report back to me. It's part of your
He
job.
he didn't say it's part of your job, but he said report back.
Yeah. And
and she took it literally.
Whatever. Okay. Next time I want you to watch something, I'm going to go to him and say, can you tell Boydston please to watch this? She listens to you.
No way, I'm petty and I'm offended.
I knew you would be. Sorry about that.
I knew I would be.
Yeah.
Literally, when did he recommend this to you?
The day before I watched it.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god.
We had to wait for spooky season to get you to watch 5 of our movies.
I only give you 2. Okay, 2 movies
I am
out of the
offended.
entire year.
At my deepest core.
Whatever. Anyways, what are we going to talk about tonight? Roswell.
My brain froze and I was trying to think, like, how can I sing this and say this at the same time? And nope, I froze.
What's the theme song to X-Files?
Do 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 do.
Roswell.
Do 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 do.
Roswell incident.
That was much better than what I had planned.
There we go.
I loved it. Beautiful. Just edited out that first singing. All right.
No. Excuse you.
We're going to talk about Roswell.
We are. And we'll just lead in with this sentence from dear old Wikipedia.
Oh, I love
I love
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia.
I do too.
Jinx.
I dedicate the
slightly
story
behind.
to Wikipedia.
Okay.
The Roswell incident has been described as, quote, the world's most famous, most exhaustively investigated, and most thoroughly debunked UFO claim, end quote.
Yeah.
But I will be the judge of that.
That was your own insertion?
I said end quote, so yes. I ended the quotes.
Did you insert that into the text? Yeah.
The hairy text, yes.
I hate you both.
She likes insertion, but not Harry. Okay.
Line.
That crossed the line.
That crossed the line.
Mm-hmm.
Too descriptive. All right. I liked it. I thought it was funny.
All bodies are beautiful, Lindsay.
Harry or not.
How did this turn into a me thing?
Lindsay,
kind
stop
of a
being
you thing.
judgmental. Hairy alien bodies should be loved.
Hairy alien bodies. Speaking of aliens.
Yeah, so here's the timeline. P.S. I don't think that they're hairy.
Did you like that segue?
Yeah,
I mean, they might be. If they are, we love them. The same.
that's true. That's true. That's very true. So here's the timeline of kind of what sparked this whole incident. So in June, on the 26th, in 1947, a private pilot named Kenneth Arnold claimed he saw a string of 9 shiny, unidentified flying objects flying past Mount Rainier at high speeds. So this was the first reported UFO sighting in the United States since World War II, and it got worldwide media attention. So this was said to have sparked several other copycat UFO sightings over the next few weeks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was June. Early in July, a ranch foreman named Mac noticed clusters of debris on the Foster Ranch just 30 miles outside of Roswell. July 6th, the discovery was reported to Sheriff George Wilcox in Roswell. And when Mac was telling the sheriff, he quote, whispered kind of confidential-like, that he might have found a flying disc. Sheriff Wilcox escalated the issue to the appropriate parties, aka the military. And on July 7th, the Roswell Army Air Force inspected the debris and even transported at least some of it back to Roswell. July 8th, Roswell Army Airfield issued a press release stating that they had recovered a, quote, flying disc, which had landed on a ranch near Roswell. And of course, the news outlets just ate it up. But a day later, on July 9th, orders came to fly the object out to Fort Worth Army Air Force Base. And this is where the story changed. There, it was then confirmed, and we use that loosely, that the object was in fact a weather balloon with a radar reflector. And this finding was communicated to the FBI. a press conference followed, and it featured debris such as foil, rubber, and wood said to be from the crashed object, matching the description of this weather balloon. So here's the description from the Roswell Daily Record. The balloon must have been 12 feet long. The rubber was smoky gray in color and scattered over an area of about 200 yards in diameter. When the debris was gathered up, the tinfoil, paper, tape, and sticks made a bundle about 3 feet long and maybe 7 or 8 inches thick, while the rubber made a bundle about 18 or 20 inches long and about 8 inches thick. So in all, he estimated the entire lot would have weighed maybe 5 pounds. There was no sign of any metal in the area, which might have been used for an engine, and no sign of any propellers of any kind, although at least one paper fin had been glued onto some tinfoil. There were no words to be found anywhere on the instrument, although there were letters on some of the parts. Considerable Scotch tape and some tape with flowers printed upon it had been used in the construction. No strings or wires were to be found, but there were some eyelets in the paper to indicate some sort of attachment may have been used. And basically this description worked. The press conference worked. Historian Robert Goldberg wrote later that the intended effect was achieved. The story died the next day.
I was trying to look at your mouth, but I see you've covered your face up with your papers.
Now that I know you're watching, I get uncomfortable.
Don't look at her mouth. Look at her eyes.
I can't.
We've had this discussion.
I know. Ben told me that was weird. That I do that.
It is weird.
I can't help it. I'm deaf.
That was basically the timeline of what happened.
Yeah,
in kind of a short time frame.
Not cross over into other areas.
But of course, at that time in history, that sparked a whole lot of things.
Lots of things.
All right, Linz.
Me? Okay.
Let's hear it.
So I'm going to pick up after 1947. Obviously, this was reported in 1947 when this all went down, but most people forgot about Roswell pretty quickly, and it kind of faded away for the next 30-some years. # life before the internet, because
yes, yeah.
Otherwise it would have lasted forever.
You know what they needed? The Pony Express. They needed sound.
Where are you, sound?
I knew there was a way to incorporate sound back in here.
Sound is always going to be around.
He could have traveled the message back to DC.
All right, so the 1970s is when this starts picking up steam again, so that's where I'm going to pick up. So interest resumed, and Roswell starts getting featured in films, TV shows, and books. Around this time, conspiracy theories about the incident also started, which resulted in lots of fake stories, hoaxes, and stories about alien bodies being found in addition to the debris.
Listen, those are real.
1995, and I'm going to have lots of dates that are kind of all over the place because it's just kind of categorized all over. But 1995, there was footage of an alien autopsy that was revealed. We'll talk about that in a second. So that's where the alien bodies came from. All right. February 1978, UFO researcher Stanton Friedman, and FYI, I'm going to throw in lots of names. You guys don't have to remember all these names.
I'm going to reiterate most of those names, so it's okay.
Yeah, okay.
In my evidence section.
Even I was like, who is this person again?
Yeah.
All right. So UFO researcher Stanton Friedman, he interviewed Jesse Marcel. So Jesse was the only one known to have accompanied the Roswell debris from where it was recovered back to Fort Worth, like Boydson said, where reporters saw material that was claimed to be part of the object. So he interviews him. November 1979 is when Marcel's first interview was featured in a documentary, quote, UFOs Are Real, which was co-written by Friedman. February 28th, 1980, the National Enquirer, America's favorite magazine,
obviously,
brought large-scale attention to their stories. So obviously the National Enquirer is not the most reliable news source.
That is slander.
But they brought a lot of attention to it.
It is the Reddit of
It is the Reddit of magazines.
You put whatever you want out there.
You just put whatever you want. You don't have to fact check it.
That is amazing and true.
I'm like, but you know what? Their headlines do still grab my attention.
I know, every time.
Lines. I'm like, what?
They're still there. Like, my kids saw one the other day. And
Elvis is still alive?
Is that
and
true?
He had a Bigfoot baby?
But I can't dispute it, so.
Right. I can't say it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So September 20th, 1980, a few months later, the TV show, quote, In Search of, ...
Oh.
aired an interview, and Marcel was quoted as saying, quote, They wanted some comments from me, but I wasn't at liberty to do that. So all I could do is keep my mouth shut. And General Ramey is the one who told the the newsman, what it was and to forget about it. It is nothing more than a weather observation balloon. Of course, we both know differently. End quote. Marcel also gave another interview to HBO's America Undercover, which aired in August of 1985, and he continued to deny the presence of any alien bodies. Several UFO researchers interviewed hundreds of people who claimed to have a connection with the events of Roswell, and it was concluded that an alien spacecraft crashed. Say that 5 times fast, y'all. Without alcohol.
Doing a great job.
Alien spacecraft crashed.
Spacecraft crashed.
Spacecraft crashed. And a government cover-up had taken place.
What?
Ba-boom.
That never happens.
The government never lies to you.
No, they tell us everything.
In October 1980, Marcel's story was featured in the book The Roswell Incident, which was authored by Charles Berlitz and William Moore. They'd also written books about the Bermuda Triangle. I feel like I said that word weird.
You did. You said Bermuda.
They had also written books about the Bermuda Triangle.
There she is.
And the Philadelphia experiment. It's about mermaids.
Bermuda.
Bermuda.
Where the mermaids are from.
Do you guys know what the Philadelphia experiment is?
Yeah, there's a movie about that.
Is there?
Yeah.
What's the movie?
Well,
It's called the Philadelphia Experiment.
I think it is.
Okay, I've never heard of the movie.
That's why I knew that.
So it is a military experiment that was carried out by the Navy at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard in October 1943. It's literally all I looked into it. So maybe that will be a story for us. So we're going to get to some of these conspiracies and all of the, like we said, hoaxes were flying around, and it was hard to tell what was true and what really happened. So Marcel, he reported debris at Roswell as, quote, nothing made on this earth, end quote. Other accounts mention that the material had super strength that was not associated with a weather balloon, typically. So the book reported that the debris seen in pictures was substituted for debris from a weather device as part of a cover-up. And it also claims that the debris recovered from the ranch was not allowed to be inspected up close by the press, which this is true. They did not allow press or anybody really to inspect it too closely who was not government officials.
You can't see. Just stay back way over there.
You can just stand there and look. Do not touch.
You have to be at least 100 feet away.
Do not touch the weather balloon. I don't know where my accent is coming from.
There are stipulations to this footage.
This is my government accent.
Oh, okay. We've developed a new accent.
It's very official.
It is official. I like it.
All right. Reports of witness intimidation began circulating. The authors for this book interviewed over 90 people and witnesses, and of those 90, only 7 actually saw the debris, and 5 were actually allowed to touch it. It's not very many people.
I would have been one of the ones to touch it.
You're like, but can I touch it?
I have to touch everything.
Well, you wouldn't be alone. There are stipulations to the weather balloon.
I would have to do it.
But you also wouldn't be, if they're telling you not to do something, you're such a rule follower.
That's true. How does that work?
No, I'd get really close up to the ropes, and then whenever they didn't look, I'd be like,
so she's a rule follower, but
only whenever people are
sneaky.
Looking.
Yeah.
Only when other people are looking.
I get
okay,
it.
Gotcha.
I get it.
So the first time that it was mentioned that there were alien bodies was in this book. All right, so 1991, Kevin Randall and Donald Schmidt, new people I'm introducing. They published UFO Crash at Roswell. Randall and Schmidt reported that General Arthur Exon had been directly aware of debris and bodies, but he disputed this, saying that his comments had been based exclusively on secondhand rumors. The book did serve as the basis for the 1994 film Roswell.
So clever.
Have not seen, but
That name.
isn't it?
I wonder what it's about.
I bet it's about Roswell.
God.
Also in 1991, retired USAF, which U.S. Air Force, but I just think the acronym's funny.
USAF.
I am USAF. That's what I was thinking of.
I didn't catch it, but yes.
I was like, I
I'm
don't think it's that
AF.
funny, but
Yeah.
no, I get it.
United States
I get it.
AF.
I get it.
Okay.
I'm going to use that because I think I say it.
I'm probably going to butcher this.
You're going to do great.
Brigadier General Thomas Dubois. Is Brigadier I'm assuming it's kind of a title.
Listen, you're asking the wrong people.
Okay. So he
Sounds great.
posed in the debris pictures that are on the internet. Are you looking up what a Brigadier is?
Yes. How do you spell that?
Brigadier.
A brigadier is a rank of officer in the British Army, above colonel and below major general.
Okay. So he's a
you got it right.
brigadier general. So
Okay.
But then the example given is from the United States military, so...
well, yeah, he's USAF.
Yeah.
But it says a rank of officer in the British Army.
I don't know. I have lots of
We probably
questions.
stole their
We
stuff.
got
I
everything
mean,
from England
Yeah,
anyway, so.
it makes sense.
We just took it
It
from
only
them.
makes sense.
Listen, when we got our independence, we were like, but we're going to keep some
Yeah.
things.
We got our independence from England.
Right.
We got everything.
We declare independence, but we're going to steal half your shit.
We're
It's
going
fine.
to steal some things,
Yeah.
but we're also going to change some things. Like
Yeah.
biscuits, they're not going to be like cookies. They're going to be like biscuits.
Buggies?
And buggies, we're going to keep that.
Buggies don't exist.
Our tea's going to
True
be
that.
cold. It's not going to be hot.
We don't want any queens.
We're going to drive on the other side of the road.
We're different.
Even though
We're different than other girls.
We're going to do a new system. It's called the English system versus the metric system.
Our money's
It's called the
going to be
imperial
different.
system.
Oh
it
my
really?
gosh. you
I've
would
never
know
heard that.
You've never heard it?
I
Okay.
have heard it, but I would not have been
No.
able to call it out.
Okay, so back to where we were. Brigadier General Thomas Dubois. From
Dubois?
Dubois?
I
That's
don't know.
probably right, yep.
Is it Dubois?
Dubose. So I was saying Dubois.
That's probably. I was thinking OIS.
DeBoss?
Dubos?
Yeah, but I
I
don't know. We're going to say Tom.
That's 2 letters. Are they both silent?
I don't know. I don't know how.
Are they both silent?
I don't even know what
like you can only pick-
nationality this name is, let alone
You can only pick one to be silent.
Okay.
Okay.
That's Boydson's rule. Pick one letter to be silent.
You only get one.
I'm trying to think of like a word that has more than one.
Just go on with your story.
Okay. Anyways, he's the one who posed with the debris pictures. Bleh. The pictures that were released in 1947 with someone posing with the debris.
Got it.
This is General Tom. All right, so he publicly acknowledged. GT. Can I get through the sentence?
Go on, say another word.
He
Do it.
publicly acknowledged
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Love it.
in 1991
Oh, that's
that
a good
the
year.
weather balloon cover
Oh, that was
story.
9.
I can't. So he publicly acknowledged, yes,
Okay.
this was a weather balloon.
Why didn't you just say that, Lindsay?
I hate you both so much. We went on such a long tangent there. Thanks for the thumbs up. I'm doing great.
You're doing great.
All right, we're going to get to one of my favorite people of this story. Mortician Glenn Dennis.
Oh my gosh. I think I talk about Glenn Dennis too.
Glenn Dennis.
Hopefully
All
you
right.
don't step on my
That's one of my
evidence
dream
toes.
jobs.
I'm
One
gonna
of your
be real
dream
mad.
jobs is to be a mortician. First off, you texted me and said, I think that I'm getting into Lindsay's territory here.
Because they do kind of.
They do kind of go.
Yeah. Okay.
So I would, my first dream job would be to do autopsies, and my second would be to do,
To dress the dead bodies.
not really dress them, just like embalming.
we could start our own mortician business.
Can we?
I don't
Sure.
want to be part of that.
The Tipsy Ghost Funerals LLC.
No, thank you.
Morticians.
You don't want to have a funeral home that has the word ghost in the name.
I think, actually, I think this is brand new in the market. Like, we would have a niche.
Tipsy Ghost Funeral Services and Morticians LLC.
It's got to be an LLC.
Where we are drunkenly embalming your loved ones.
Sarah
There
does-
may not be a ghost.
Yes.
I'm painting their faces.
I embalm, Sarah does the makeup. You are the people person.
There we go.
You comfort the
You're the
families
face.
whenever they come in.
We're behind the scenes. You don't want us talking to the
You
families.
do not want me talking to people.
I am a good people person. Mortician Glenn Dennis, on September 20th, 1989, 4 days before I was born, there was an episode of Unsolved Mysteries.
Ugh, yes.
I just realized that all of the old ones are on Amazon Prime, and I have been watching those. I love them. So, Unsolved Mysteries premiered this episode on September 20th, 1989, and it included Roswell and reports of all of the alien bodies captured by the Army. Dennis is watching this episode. He calls the show's hotline, and he says, hey, I got knowledge about this.
This sure sounds like evidence to me. Not like a conspiracy theory, but
He reported
it's fine.
that in 1947, he
Mhm.
received 4 or 5 calls from Airbase with questions about preserving bodies
Hmm.
and about small or hermetically sealed caskets.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A nurse also told him later that she had witnessed an alien autopsy. Dennis's stories of alien autopsies were the first account to allege that alien corpses were in fact at the Roswell Army Air Base. Dun dun. 2 years later, September 1991, he co-founded a UFO museum in Roswell and appeared in multiple documentaries sharing his story. But other UFOologists, including Randall, said that Dennis was one of the least credible witnesses because he changed his story, changed the name of the nurse once they proved that the nurse that he first gave the name of did not even exist. So he said, oh, her name is this instead. Fishy.
It was me.
And he waited 40 years. So this happened in 1947. 1989 is when he was like, oh yeah, hey, I remember this. This happened. So some prominent ufologists have become convinced that there were no aliens or alien spacecraft at all involved in the Roswell crash because of all of the conflicting stories. In 1992, Stanton Friedman, he released Crash at Corona, co-authored with Don Berliner.
Sure.
All right, so the book introduced the book introduced new witnesses and added to the narrative by doubling the number of flying saucers to 2 and the number of aliens to 8. 2 of which were said to have been survived and taken into custody by the government. They also, Randall and Schmidt, remember them? They authored another book called The Truth About the UFO Crash at Roswell, which included a claim that alien bodies were taken by cargo plane to be viewed by President Dwight D. Eisenhower. The Air Force, all of this is coming out. So they were ordered to conduct an internal investigation and then summarize what they found in 2 reports. So the first was released in 1994 and the second was in 1997. So the first report concluded that the material recovered in 1947 was likely debris from Project Mogul. The second report concluded that reports of recovered alien bodies were likely a combination of innocently transformed memories of accidents involving military casualties with memories of the recovery of anthropomorphic dummies and military programs.
Did you say Project Mongol?
Mogul. I know it's Mogul because I talk about it too.
No, I know it is, but I
that's
thought you
really
said
all
Mongol.
I said.
No,
So-
I know. It's okay. They do cross over, and it's tough because the evidence is conspiracy. So
Right. So in 1995, kind of like how I talked about earlier, film footage showing an alien autopsy was released, and it claimed to have been taken by a U.S. military official shortly after Roswell. The footage caused an international sensation when it aired on TV networks around the world. Ray Santilli, he's a London-based video entrepreneur. He's the one who released the footage. And in 2006, he admitted that the film was mostly a reconstruction, but claimed that it was based on genuine footage that has now been lost, and that some original frames have survived and are out there somewhere. So, he's claiming that he saw the footage, but he had to recreate it because now it's lost.
Well, I asked these two in a text, like, what should I do about the evidence? Because there's a bunch of gray lines about what is covered in evidence and what's covered in conspiracy theories, because they kind of go hand in hand, honestly. So I'm going to try to add to the conversation, but I feel like I might just be reiterating some of the things you guys have already said. But I'm going to go through it anyways. So even though people claim that there was actually no crash at even though people say that there was no UFO crash at Roswell, believers still firmly believe that it happened and that it's been concealed by the government, as one of you had mentioned. So B.D. Gildenberg, he stated that there were actually 11 reported alien recover sites. 11.
Okay. Versus the 1.
Right. So I did watch a documentary about this.
Okay.
And it looked, it was set in the 90s, and this guy looked like a cowboy. And everybody he interviewed also looked like cowboys and cowgirls. And it was amazing. I liked it. It was $1.99 on Prime. I could recommend it to you if you'd like to watch it.
Okay.
But he did say that he thought that the spacecraft basically touched down and then went a few more miles, touched down again, and then went a few more miles, and then eventually crashed near some caves, which is where they found all the debris.
Okay.
So, anyhow, that's why they say that there's so many sites, because things scattered every time they touched down.
Like something fell off the ship each time.
Yeah, exactly. So, Again, as I think Lindsey mentioned, there's hundreds of people that were interviewed by researchers, but only a few people had claimed to see debris or actual aliens. And most people were just repeating what they had heard from other people. So It was like secondhand accounts. So out of the 300 people that were actually interviewed, 41 were considered genuine or firsthand witnesses.
Okay.
And out of those individuals, only 7 said anything to suggest otherworldly origins. So really, they interviewed 300 people, but only 7 people said, oh yeah, it could totally be aliens.
And the others were all like, weather balloon.
Or secondhand accounts. Like, I heard from my friend that it totally happened.
Gotcha.
We've mentioned Major Jesse Marcel multiple times. He was the group intelligence officer, and he was dispatched to the scene initially. He got out with another person named Sheridan Cavett, but decided to go back to the site on his own to gather some of the debris. And then decided to show his own son on his way back, like, oh my God, look at this.
Right.
You're never going to believe what I saw. His son was 10 years old, and his name was Jesse Jr.
It's a great name.
You know what would be great is if we name him myself, but Junior. I like that. I like that.
Sarah Jr.
Sarah Jr.
Why did you name your kid Ryan? What were you thinking?
Missed opportunity. My next child that I'm not having shall be named Sarah Jr.
Okay.
It's fine.
I love it.
Okay. Jesse Jr., he described one of the objects as having hieroglyphics on it.
Ooh. Like Egyptian.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's exactly right. And of course, the Army debunked it right away and said that this was from a weather balloon, which you've mentioned many times.
It's a weather balloon.
Like, who has hieroglyphics on a weather balloon?
I mean, maybe
GTFO.
When they were decorating it, they were like,
what?
You know what would make this thing look cool? Let's just draw
Egyptian
random things
hieroglyphics.
on it. Egyptian hieroglyphics.
I'll give you that. So it turns out years later, in 1990, the USAF.
USAF.
I knew I had it in there somewhere. They came out and said that the debris was not actually from a weather balloon, but they swear they weren't trying to cover it up. They said it was from a classified project, and you touched on this a little bit. It was from a classified project that flew microphones on high-altitude balloons so that sound waves generated by Soviet atomic bomb tests could be detected, because this was like kind of during Cold War times. Guess what this project was called?
Project Cold War.
Project We
Mogul.
Hate Russia.
Basically. You even talked about this.
Yikes.
Wow. Lindsay hates Russia, not the rest of us.
No, that was the Cold War. It was the U.S. versus Russia.
It was a rough time. Anyways, this Project Mogul between 1947 and 1949. As you mentioned, because I'm reiterating for the billionth time, Marcel was interviewed by a nuclear physicist named Friedman
Stanton.
in 1978.
Yeah.
Marcel told Stan the Man that the government had ordered him to keep quiet.
No, they wouldn't do that.
There was no cover-up, remember?
The government never hides anything.
So Stan the Man decided to interview several other witnesses. You talked about his credibility a little bit, which is fine.
Is it?
It's fine. And he also, went on to write the book Roswell Incident, which was a huge hit.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So basically, though, the conclusion was that there was a huge cover-up by the government.
Okay.
A little bit more on false memory syndrome. The most common claim is that there were alien bodies found among the wreckage after a flying saucer crashed.
It crashed.
All right. So back to false memories.
False memory syndrome.
One incident was known as the Betty and Barney Hill incident. Oh my God.
From the Flintstones.
Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Was going to do an episode about this, but that's okay.
Oh, I don't even know about this. Tell
Do you want
me.
me to stop?
No.
Was that?
No. How much detail do you go into?
2 sentences.
Perfect.
Okay. In December 1963, Betty and her husband Barney went to a psychiatrist after Betty experienced recurring nightmares.
Wait, so this is not about the Flintstones?
It's not.
That's what I thought it was named.
It's Barney Rubble, not Barney Hill.
I know, but I was thinking Betty and Barney. That's all I was thinking about.
Rubble.
Jesus.
Bam Bam. No.
On February 10th, 1964, an episode of the TV show Outer Limits aired. There are much more details to this story. I'm just going to give you a brief overview.
We should do a story on it.
You should.
Okay.
The episode featured an extraterrestrial with large wraparound eyes.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So 12 days later, during a hypnosis session, Barney told his psychiatrist about a being with wraparound eyes.
Okay.
All right. So most modern psychiatrists agree that he experienced something called false memory syndrome.
Yep.
And that hypnosis can lead to confabulations.
Which we talked about this with the Mandela effect.
Yes,
and
we
it
did.
still makes me angry. I don't believe it.
Confabulations are the production of fabricated, distorted, or misinterpreted memories. In 2012, a slide deck was found that was supposedly had pictures of dead alien bodies. The owner of the slides sold them to a man in Mexico City named Jamie Masson.
Okay.
I think that's right.
Sure.
They were taken to Mexico's National Forensic Institute, where researchers found 20 anomalies in the body that made it different from a human's,
Okay.
including the extra large head, 4 sets of ribs instead of 12, the position of the eyes, and the fact that there was no pelvis.
We have 12 ribs.
10.
Lindsay. Yes, we have 12.
I didn't know that. That's a lot of ribs. I thought we had like 8.
8?
I thought we had 4 on each side.
Stop.
Wait, they go up all the way.
I don't know. You guys,
Have you never seen a chest x-ray?
Have you never touched your chest?
Have you never, felt? There are spaces
I've
between
never
bones?
seen a chest x-ray.
Okay.
And
Fair.
I've never counted my ribs. I don't know if that's a thing people do, okay?
There are more than 4.
Okay.
There are definitely more than 4. There's a lot. They go all the way up to here.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They protect your lungs. Your lungs are big.
Okay.
All right, well,
Fun facts I learned.
Especially your lungs.
your lungs are huge.
You guys are so rude.
It's a good thing. That means they're healthy.
Sure.
They're small shriveled
You talk
ones.
a lot. That's what that means.
Thank you, Winston. I got the insult the first time.
Well, unfortunately, this was debunked.
Womp womp.
It was discovered that the body in the picture was discovered in actually 1896
Ooh.
near Montezuma Castle in Arizona.
So it was an alien from
No.
1896?
Well, they don't. Well, you know how this goes. It's like, but they say it was a child's body, and that had been on display for years in a Colorado museum. So it's definitely interesting. So, what are your takes on Roswell? I'm
Yeah.
curious.
I would love to know
Lindsay.
your take.
I feel like you guys know my take on this. I'm not a believer in it. I think it was a weather balloon. I think that people jumped to conspiracy theory, and it was all like hysteria.
So you believe
and
the government conspiracy?
Hold up. I believe the government does hide things from us. I totally
100%.
would believe in a government conspiracy or in a government trying to cover this up. That part I can believe in. But the fact that they have not been able to find any reliable witnesses and that people waited 30 plus years before they started talking is weird to me.
But there were people that talked, and they were part of military at the time, and they were told to be quiet, which is interesting.
So funny you say that. I saw a TikTok, I want to say maybe a month ago,
Uh-huh.
and it was an older gentleman. Older. Wasn't old, wasn't young, just older.
Sure, I'm with you.
And he came on and he was, I couldn't find it, of course. And I don't know the specifics, but I feel like he was saying that he was the son of one of the guys that
Probably
recovered
Marcel.
Marcel.
Probably Jesse Jr. That's what I was talking about.
And he said that he wasn't allowed to say anything,
Yeah.
but his dad came home and was like, this is going to be a big thing later.
That was my
And then
evidence,
later his
actually.
dad told him yeah, we can't talk about it until I die.
So
That's
if
exactly
it was
what I was talking about.
why all of a sudden in the 70s was it an okay thing to talk about again? Because the people who were talking were people who were around then.
Think about the 70s,
Yeah.
though. There was a big push for freedom.
A lot of progression from
Yes, it was
old
a huge
rights versus
progression.
new rights. I guess I just don't believe that it was a weather balloon. I think that based on the evidence and the materials that were used, it looked like a hastily put together cover up. Now, if it was aliens, I don't know. I don't believe it's a weather balloon, though.
Okay. Sarah, what do you think?
I totally do not think it was a weather balloon at all. I think it's a huge cover-up, personally. Because how easy is it for them to be... They changed their status, too. The government did multiple times.
They initially said, oh, it's a flying disc. But now all of a sudden it's a weather balloon.
And then they said, no, it's not a weather balloon. But it's this Project Mogul. Mm-hmm. And then they said it was like from these men being shot down in military airplanes. Like, there's been a lot of...
Talk about unreliable evidence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think the government probably didn't know what it was. And so...
Lindsay, they knew exactly what it was.
I think at the time they didn't know what it was. And so that's why the story kept changing. I think they're hiding a lot from us.
That area was very well, like, observed. And they kept an eye on that area. Because during that time, we mentioned it was kind of Cold War times. And right on the heels of World War II.
Right.
And Hiroshima. So everything was like really keeping an eye on the Soviet Union. And that's why they were conducting tests. And so they knew exactly what was going on. I 100% believe that was happening. They knew exactly what was going on.
What are your thoughts about the whole alien body autopsies, all of that?
Oh, I 1000% think that they have dead alien bodies.
Same.
I don't think they do. That's where
because 1000%, and I think that may be the only incident that you believe that. But I think it's so easy for them to be like, no, don't believe this. I mean, look at still like recent days. They're like, we're going to release all this information about unidentified flying objects, but it's safe. Everything's safe. Well, how the fuck do you know it's safe if you don't know anything about UFOs? How are you going to say that?
Yeah.
So. It's all to make everybody feel calm.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Because obviously that is terrifying.
Right.
But also in a weird way, it's more terrifying to think that there's nobody out in this humongous, vast solar system times 8 billion and that we're alone. I think that that's more scary than thinking that there are people out there.
But if you consider the bigger picture, like, so we're on Earth, right? And so everybody on Earth can come together and be a part of Earth.
Sure.
But we've got how many other planets in our solar system?
7.
How many other...
I never know if we count Pluto or not.
He's counted.
You always count Pluto.
He's back in.
It's a general
He's part of the cool gang.
It's all about the little guy now.
Yeah. He's here now.
Pluto!
Hashtag Pluto forever.
Hashtag Pluto forever. And then, so that's just our planets. But what about all the other solar systems out there?
We are tiny.
And we're just the only
that's what I'm
beings
saying.
Around.
That is more terrifying to me than thinking that there are other people out there.
Yeah.
There has to be. And I really hope that there is because that freaks me the fuck out to think that we are the only people in this vast universe. I think about this all the time. Mm-hmm. That's just why I hate space. I love it and I hate it. I love space knowledge and it also freaks me the fuck out. I'm telling you. Also, Venus is the hottest planet.
And Pluto's back in.
Nobody believes me, but it is.
I believe you.
She's our sister planet and she's a raging bitch.
That's where we're gonna end this, I think.
Yes, I don't think.
Yes, I don't know where else.
There is no conclusion. So
there is no conclusion.
Do you see what we're saying now?
I see what you're saying. No, here's my thing. I'm not saying that. I've always said this from the beginning when we've started discussing all these things that I say I don't believe in. There is the possibility for anything. Like we don't know. So
sure.
I think, of course, with how vast the universe is, obviously we don't know everything about it. So I think there is a possibility for other life forms out there.
So why wouldn't they want to come here?
I don't think we have any evidence that they exist. I'm not saying that they don't. I'm saying we don't have the evidence for it.
We do have evidence, but do you believe the evidence?
I don't believe the evidence of Roswell with the alien bodies. The debris
but you got to remember,
that,
like in the 40s, though, too, evidence collection was a lot different than it is now.
Sure, I would agree with that. I'm just saying I think there's a possibility. I have not seen any compelling evidence to convince me.
Because you don't want to. But okay, I agree with that.
Not because I don't want to.
Well, but what would you consider compelling?
I don't know.
There we go.
What if somebody told you something that was totally true, but then the majority of people didn't actually believe it?
And the government threatened them within their life, and they were like, you can't speak of this.
It depends. First off, it depends on who tells me. Like, if it's someone I trust.
What if I did? If I was like...
If you saw it with your own eyes versus like the false memories that everybody is saying that happened back then.
Lindsay, you still don't believe in spirits and ghosts.
I am more inclined to believe in spirits and ghosts than aliens.
All right. Well, Anyways, what do you guys think about ghosts, aliens? We want to know about aliens specifically because that's what the story pertains to. So tell us what you think about, I guess, Roswell is just like a speaking point. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The evidence is there. It is highly disputed, but we also think there's likely a government cover-up somewhere there. I think.
I would agree with the government cover-up.
Yeah. So chime in. Tell us what you think.
Okay. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in this week. You can always find us at thetipsyghost.com or email us at thetipsyghost@gmail.com. Let us know what you think.
Please give us a 5-star rating and a great review anywhere you listen to podcasts. We would greatly appreciate it, and it really does help.
Yes, it does. Thanks so much for tuning in this week, guys. We will catch you guys next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye.